A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, LucasArts tried their hands at an in-depth first-person experience set in old George's thrilling universe. Its name, Star Wars: Dark Forces. Project lead Darren Stinnett initially wanted to make a flight simulator for the universe, but with the rapid rise of first-person action games, the race was on to write an engine from scratch called Jedi, gather a cabal of talented peeps, and start building a fully immersive explosive FPS Star Wars experience. Dark Forces is not only a first-person shooter game, it's a first-person shooter adventure game, adding narrative depth to the FPS framework set out by id Software's Wolf 3D and Doom. It's got sick cutscenes, puzzles that sing due to its solid room-over-room architecture, and a strong purpose to your actions, stopping the Empire and their Dark Trooper program. I love the fact that, although Luke Skywalker was the initially planned playable character, they settled on Kyle Katarn instead, an original creation. This way they didn't have to link up narrative points to the existing Star Wars universe to any great extent. They could carve a story path in whatever direction they chose, and didn't have to contend with what Jedi powers would have meant for the game. I like Jedi stuff, sure, but even as a kid I didn't feel greatly excited by it. I always preferred the shady world Han Solo moved in, one of blasters and space gangsters and bounty hunters. It's dangerous, clandestine, and offers up a whole lot more immediate action and danger, in my opinion. And action and danger are certainly not in short supply in Dark Forces. Living vicariously through space badass Kyle Katarn means you'll be sneaking, stealing shit, punching dudes, blowing guys up, getting blown up yourself, falling to your death, gagging on freshly cut Empire cheese, dancing with the #1 Sarlacc boy, going toe-to-toe with murderous droids, and so much more. You excited yet? You should be. This game kicks ass. Now, I'm capturing footage using the Force Engine source port for a few reasons. It captures beautifully in widescreen, it irons out bugs, and with my already purchased DOS Dark Forces, it's free. I was considering the Night Dive remaster, and I appreciate all it entails, but nah. Force Engine also has an easy mod loader, which is awesome, and a score of quality of life improvements. Hey, what's this? Bloom? Want to try it out? Links in the description. So, you've got your health and your shield. Pretty self-explanatory. Health registers physical damage, falling, lizard bites, pig blades, and shields protect against firearms, keeping you spongy against incoming lasers and shit. Medkits patch up your boo-boos, 20 health at a time up to 100, and shield units replenish your magic space armor, 20 at a time up to a ceiling of 200. Nice. These items are very common, but far less common and much more welcome are these boys. Revives and shield supercharges. Revives top you up to max health and shield, very nice, and the shield supercharge almost makes you unkillable. For about half a minute, you'll be able to brush aside anything that would decrease your shield, blasters and such, and you can act with total abandon, so long as you don't engage in any activities that would harm your health directly. Alongside the weapon supercharge, a very sexy temporary upgrade to your rate of fire, the shield supercharge will give off a jarring beeping sound when it's about to run out. A bit more attention-grabbing than just the screen blinking, I guess. Dark Forces also has a life system instead of a save system. And as such, collecting these little red spinning dudes will come in handy as you feel your way through the game. You can carry a maximum of 9 lives at any one time, and when used on your death, it'll spawn you at the most recent checkpoint, which is a lot nicer than being beamed to the start of the mission. The game will also keep all your progress unless you burn through all your lives, in which case you'll need to restart the mission from the Mission Select menu. I used to turn my nose up at lives and just play very carefully, but I've now mellowed and really appreciate their function in the game, allowing me to play more recklessly. It's a pleasantly different approach to the game loop than Doom, and it really sets it apart well in my opinion. Although, the respawn spot in the Kel Dragon pit in Jabba's ship can piss right off. If you die to the dragons early, chances are you'll be surrounded by the scaly bastards when you respawn. Nasty. You'll soon discover that thermal detonators are your best friend on your perilous missions against the dastardly Empire. Much like in Blood, but not as bombastic, thermies have an alt fire that lets you throw a timed grenade that can be bounced around corners and is oh so good at clearing enemy-cluttered hallways. They're also a godsend when dealing with copious amounts of trap mines. Cough cough Jabba's ship. Simply throw the detonator at the mine on the floor, ensuring you have plenty of room to escape the blast radius of both explosives and watch the fireworks. Jumping and crouching are not just fun options in this game, they're necessary for progression. So I suggest you map these actions to handy keys before you play. You'll be jumping over ravines, ducking under ledges, and crouching is handy to avoid explosives flying at you, as well as dodging errant laser fire from Imperial goons. Secrets are numerous on your missions and usually yield good stuff. So keep your eyes peeled for dark cave mouths or differently textured walls in the levels, as you might acquire a new life or some much needed ammo or inventory item, like the gas mask in the detention center, although that's hidden behind a completely unremarkable wall. If in doubt, hump the walls, people. Because Dark Forces is big-brained and made by talented people, choosing between your headlamp or your infrared goggles comes down to more than just aesthetic preference. Both of them let you see in total darkness, but enemies aren't alerted to your presence by using the infrared goggles. If you blunder into a dark monster closet with your head beam burning bright, you'll get melted by an automated gun turret. If you use your goggles, they won't know you're there, so you can get the jump on anyone. Real spy shit. You'll also acquire ice cleats for dealing with slippery floors on An TV, and a gas mask for dealing with toxic hazards such as key repositories, space porridge, and the Star Wars subreddit. Enough yapping. Let's dive in. Imperial officers. These puny boys in brown are equipped with a small blaster they'll scorch you with if you aren't quick enough to avoid it. But beyond filling a recognizable Star Wars role, aka dudes who stand around tech corridors with their arms tucked importantly behind their backs, they also become glorified keycard repositories later in the game. Often you'll clip these guys and they'll collapse, dropping a red-bordered blue card. These cards hold codes for certain consoles that trigger actions in the game. Once picked up, the card appears in your inventory. You then have to decipher the code and repeat it on a console, and open sesame, the way is clear. You can hold multiple cards at once, and you'll need to figure out which one you need to use by relating its color to the associated console in-game. It's quite a fun mini-game, and you'll no doubt make up your own name for the Empire runes. Once you've cleared a mission, the cards disappear to make way for new ones on your next quest. These lads drop a clip of energy units as well, adding 15 to your total for that ammo type. One thing I wish officers could do is sound alarms in levels which would summon scores of stormtroopers and other nasties if you didn't kill them quickly enough. But I understand that this wouldn't have necessarily been possible, but it would have made them very high priority targets. Ah well, it's very possible there are mods out there where this is a thing. I shall have to investigate. Imperial Stormtroopers. These guys are the breadcrumb stuffing that bulks out the Imperial sausage. They're weak, but boy are they plentiful. Much like their movie counterparts, stormtroopers are a bit shit at aiming their weapons. They might seem goofy and useless, but one look at the charred corpses on Talay will stiffen your resolve to rain terror down on these bastards and make them pay. As they're often found in a big group, cutting them down in swathes with a few well-aimed thermies is a very satisfying experience. Same goes for the mortar or concussion rifle, or most things really. Shout out to the weapon supercharge in Mission 2, which lets you go hog wild on a whole room of Empire jerks. Lovely. When killed, they drop a laser rifle which lacks the accuracy of your Briar pistol, but makes up for it with aggressive firepower. The perfect spray and pray weapon. At close to medium range anyway. Imperial Commandos. These boys in black are the cream of the Imperial crop. They sport the same blaster as stormtroopers, but due to their advanced training, they are a trickier adversary. They have more health, are faster, and are more accurate. If you try to tackle them at close to medium range and piss fart around, they'll give you a fine selection of new holes to add to your existing ones. Either strike with the element of surprise before they can get a shot off, or gank them from afar, preferably with the repeater rifle, Briar pistol, or concussion rifle. They wear very silly helmets, but otherwise have some very fine Imperial drip. Look at them shiny shoes. I bet some poor stormtrooper was forced to clean them over and over again, probably using his tongue. Long story short, these guys are mean and can outstay their welcome, so hit them quick and press on. As things progress, they'll be more and more present, especially on hard difficulty, so know your surroundings well and don't let them get the drop on you. As with all Imperial douchebags, crouch when facing a crisscross of laser fire, as it may help you avoid random shots. That is, if you're in a confrontational mood. Otherwise, let your explosives do the talking. Those alien bastards are gonna pay for shooting up my face. Grans, no not those ones, are the tri-ocular thermal detonator chucking face meat punching dregs of the criminal underworld that is ever present in the Star Wars universe. With an utterance of what sounds like, "Oh what, who's there?" Grans will let fire with their insanely accurate thermals even from high above you or far below you. If they're up above, seek cover and snipe them with your Briar pistol, repeater or concussion rifle. If you're feeling saucy and are confident in the strength of your arm, return fire with your own thermals. Chances are you might knock them off as they die. Good stuff. If you're facing one on the same elevation, let him throw and then run forward under the thermal. They travel in quite a high arc, so it's not too hard to gain the distance, and you can always crouch while doing so to reduce your height. Also, if you're lucky, they might try for a high throw when under a low ceiling, wiping themselves out, the fools. Once under the projectile, give them a good spray with one of your energy weapons, or do what I like to do and punch their lights out. The dance of ducking back and forth while pummeling them is similar to fighting a revenant in Doom, without the chance of Grans whacking you with a missile in the face when hurt. If you're close enough to them, they'll resort only to their fists. It's if you step too far away that they'll switch back to their grenades. I love how these sons of bitches like to hide up in dark passages, dropping bombs on you like a ton of explosive bricks, their 3 green eyeballs glowing evilly. In fact, I think it's time for a tangent as I wax lyrical about the use of full bright coloring in the game. Not many things can achieve an effortless, elegant sense of immersion in a game like something small but powerful. In this game, it's the use of certain colors that always render at full brightness, no matter how dark the surrounding sector is. This means that certain alien eyes, lights on your weapons, lights on wall textures, etc. are glowing even in the darkest environments. I cannot express how cool I find this. I've seen it in other games, sure, but I saw it here first and it left an indelible impression. Just walk around an area with different lighting brightnesses with your thermal detonator out. Watch as everything dims except for the little red lights. I'm guessing that these would be colors specifically identified in the palette to never fade to black. I love it. Gamorrean guards. Quite low on the enemy priority list, these green porkers can be left to mill around while you deal with ranged enemies first, as they're only equipped with their swine blades. But when you do fight them, you'll use a fair amount of ammo to take them down due to their hefty health. They can easily tank a few thermals straight to the face, and each time you hit them, you're gifted with a delightful piggy squeal. Considering how thick these wide boys are, the alt fire on the fusion cutter is a good choice, as if you get close, it's like wielding a super shotgun, each of the 4 blasts hitting your target. 2 strong squirts of the alt fire will open them up, and they'll let out one final whimper of porcine pain. If you'd rather take them out from afar, just slam down the regular fire on the fusion cutter. Any weapon is serviceable really, but another fun alternative is laying down mines in their vicinity. Use alt fire to smack down a spray of mines on top of each other before they trigger, run away, and return when the smell of barbecued pork reaches your nose holes. However, if you choose to get close, be very wary of their axes. 1 hit does 40 damage, so after a few strokes, you'll be half the man you used to be. As I like to live dangerously, I enjoy baiting their axe swings and then knocking them back with a handful of hefty punches. This is not recommended if there are a lot of these Warcraft rejects around, or you'll pull back a stump. Trandoshans. Sadly, these beautiful bastards are only seen in 3 missions, which is a shame as they're my favorite enemy in the game. I like to think of them as the archviles of the Star Wars universe. Stalking around in their orange jumpsuits, these cold-blooded killers are packing Stuka concussion rifles, and when they spy you, they'll let off a shot, frying you with shockwaves of pressurized air. They're pretty damn weak and will crumble with a couple of half-hearted blasts from most of your better weapons, but in missions like Nar Shaddaa, they roam in packs, and when you're engaging one of them in combat, another 2 will be trying to give you a near-terminal blow wave. Much like the Archvile, I like to approach them carefully and peekaboo them, blasting off my own cushion rifle, hiding and finishing them off with a second blast. However, if you're brave enough to get close, they won't fire their weapon out of self-preservation, and they lack the melee attack of the Grands, so you can simply beat them to death with your fists, or just open fire. Die, lizard, die. You ain't the boss of me. Kell dragons. These tanky-ass leaping lizards are the prize pets of that greasy worm, Jabba the Hutt. They only have a melee attack, which would normally be fine, but as you'll mostly be facing them just with your fists, fighting them involves a careful dance. Aboard Jabba's ship, the initial skirmish presents you with a single dragon on easy, 2 on medium, and 5 on hard. Jesus. When you get unceremoniously nudged into the pit, weapons pilfered, you need to dig deep and channel your inner revenant boxer. Dive in and then punch as you leap back before these scaly Tatooine twits take a chunk out of that well-toned Katarn ass. Easier said than done. And even with practice, these dudes still seem to be able to give you a quick nibble, reducing your health by 20 each time. 5 bites and you're done. For the good of your health, don't let them back you into a corner. Try to fight with plenty of room behind you wherever possible. Kell dragons can also leap, closing the distance between you and the beast fairly quickly. I'm not sure whether anyone else has found this issue, but if you try to hit them when they're leaping through a new sector like a doorway or under a ceiling overhang, they can clip straight through you, doing damage, but your fist won't connect. A hit detection problem maybe? I don't know. I've had it happen both on DOS and the Force engine. Most curious. Seeing as how you need to kill at least one of the starting Kells to open up the next area, the initial onslaught is the hardest, at least in my experience. It's tight, frantic, and if it's your first time fighting these guys, you can quite easily burn through your lives until you get the swing of things. Once you're out into the larger arena, you've got a nice shady corridor to hide in. From here you can duck in and out using walls as cover, once you've beaten the Grands to death, of course. It's time consuming, but after a while you'll leave the big lizards bubbling away in a puddle of goo and you can skip along to the next set of rooms to get all your weapons back. Let's count the hits.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, whoa, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, Jesus.
The guide recommends full frontal attacks, as glancing hits on anywhere but the face won't do as much damage. If you're more interested in preserving your health than killing them quickly, circle strafing while punching them all over is a solid strat. With repeated plays, it seems that all Kells need to be killed before the switch in the corridor will properly activate the stairs to reach the blue key. If you activate it prior to their deaths, the stairs will raise but fall quickly before you can scale them. So you must wipe them out, Viceroy. All of them. For an initial skirmish, it's a fairly tricky pickle, but not to worry. When you face these guys later in the mission with all your guns, 'tis you who'll be chasing and they who'll be wetting their lizard panties. Just shows you how much of a badass Kyle is that on hard he can marmalize 5 Kells and just keep walking. He's one mean motherfucker. Dianoga. Oh, just what you need. Sewer squids. These orange many-tentacled menaces are at home anywhere that's moist and stinking, insert joke here. Just like their appearance in A New Hope, these gross bros will hide under the water, their eyeball poking up to sight you. Then they'll squirm their way over and give you a big, wet, sloppy, open-mouthed alien smooch, dealing 20 damage. They go down pretty easily and make a delightfully painful, deflating noise as their ruined corpse floats to the surface. one of my favorite enemies in the game, hands down, largely due to that delicious sound. Encountered in packs as well as on their lonesome, Dianoga aren't too bad. As long as you know to expect them anytime you jump into a cesspit, you should be good. Their chief weapon is surprise, so remove that from them by always being on your guard. Tease them into their attack to expose them, then give them a nice barrage of laser fire until they go all limp. Mamma mia, that's a good calamari, eh? Boba Fett? It's time to face off with the #1 Sarlacc boy, Boba Fett. He's fast, he flies, he's a bastard, and you won't want to see him with his helmet off. Hi diddly ho, Kylo Reno. After you're done arsing around nabbing decoded data tapes on Coruscant and you're hightailing it back to your extraction point, Jan will radio you, anxiously telling you that she's just seen someone.
Oh no, Kai, you better look out, I just saw...
Before she cuts out to static. Oh lordy, Mr. Fett is lying in wait. When he spies you, he'll commence his bombardment. He's a wily customer, and he'll jetpack around, firing rockets at you in a steady barrage. If he'll get out of his starting area, circle strafe him and whack him as much as you can with a fast-firing heavy weapon like the assault cannon. Its steady stream of plasma can be fired while you're both moving in a circle, and there's a good chance that your shots will collide with him fairly often. He can also zoom right into your face, so be careful with your more dangerous weapons or you'll damage yourself as well. It would be a lot nastier if his rockets tracked you, but luckily this is not the case. If you're good at FPS movement, you may find he dies a lot quicker than you may expect. I mean he's knocked out, not dead, as he needs to be alive for his death in Return of the Jedi. No one really dies in Star Wars, do they? The mouse won't let you rest. If you're lucky, he'll get lodged behind a bit of set dressing, so he'll give you a stationary target, and you can send your ultra-damaging assault cannon missiles at him, and he'll fold pretty quick. But if he gets you stuck in one of the surrounding corridors and he's behind you, he'll blow you to smithereens. If you're in this situation, best bet is to either get back to the extraction point and use walls for cover, or jump down into the central area off the corridors. Here you may have more wall cover than in the corridors themselves. Then you can roast his impish ass. So Boba is a pretty fun baddie, and he's quite enjoyable to fight. I would personally have preferred that he has like an extra attack phase where he flies straight over you and drops thermals in a line to really keep you on your toes, but oh well, still pretty cool. But if you don't want to do any of that stuff, just lay down some mines right here. Boba is actually hidden on the other side of the wall. The explosions will kill him, and abracadabra, you've skipped mission 11. Damn, this parking lot's getting crowded. Gun turrets. With a full rotation of movement, these zappy boys are right bastards. Usually fixed to ceilings, they will spy you and without much of a pause blast you heavily unless you manage to hide. Found often in crawl spaces and as fixed sentries in facilities, it's best to figure out and remember their positions lest you walk right into their fire. They also have a decent amount of vertical aiming, so be on your guard. If you damage one enough, you can often see it go haywire, and it'll blast wildly before succumbing to its mechanical wounds. I found the best way of dealing with them is peekaboo shooting them from around a corner with an accurate weapon. Shoot, hide. Shoot, hide. Hell, if you're feeling saucy, give them some love with a stack of thermals, but be prepared to take some damage. The choice is yours. Hot tip. If you're facing ceiling turrets in an area with conveyor belts, lay down a solid amount of IM mines using the alt fire. They'll travel along the belts ahead of you if you jump back and will detonate right under the turrets, obliterating them and saving you much needed health, shields, and ammo. I didn't know of this strategy until just recently. I was reading the player's guide and it was a trick that playtesters came up with back in the day to deal with pesky turrets. Such a smart idea. Adds a lot more playfulness to the otherwise straightforward progression of Mission 8. Now, if only all turrets could be above conveyor belts, how much easier Kyle's life would be. Oh well. QS-100 welding arm. You may be lulled into a state of security when you see these big grey whirring things, thinking they're just some sort of level design. Alas, no. Its very basic machine intelligence will force it to weld anything that gets near it, including Kyle. Seen only aboard the Arkhammer, they're very easy to take out despite taking a while to destroy. Hide out of its reach where possible and give it some laser. You can, of course, use explosives which won't take as long, but considering that they're found in either close spaces or in a beastly drop-down with plenty of other nasty dudes, I wouldn't recommend this course of action, unless you already know they're there, in which case drop thermals from above or at least from a safe distance. Interrogation droids. Seeing these guys in A New Hope for the first time freaked me the hell out. This big old floating ball with a threatening needle attached. Yikes. In Dark Forces, they're more of a constant menace, but that doesn't mean that a group of them can't drain your health if you're not nimble enough. They plop out a big green energy blast from a distance, which is incredibly inaccurate and will fly off at strange angles, but their jabby needle is a real pain. It can affect you from quite some distance away. Perhaps it's supposed to be shooting a needle at you? I'm not sure. Either way, you may misjudge how safe you are when dealing with them, and as such, I recommend a healthy burst of blaster fire delivered straight to their ocular sensor as soon as you see them. They're quite plentiful in Mission 11 as you get closer to the data vault, so be prepared to go droid smashing during your time on Coruscant. Probe droids are another floating mechanical menace that you'll first encounter in Anowat City's sewers. They hover about rather slowly and shoot at you with a red laser that's more of an annoyance than a serious threat, although they can prove pretty useful at sniping you over a distance. When you trash these guys, watch out for their death explosion, which can seriously ruffle your do. They give a resigned groan and then give off a fiery poof, depositing a lovely energy cell in the mangled remains of their chassis. I usually just race past them, blasting with my Stormtrooper rifle or something stronger, leaving them to pop behind me. And I suggest you do the same. Remotes. Oof, these little beasts are super annoying and like to zoom about, peppering you with green laser blasts. If you try to hit them with energy weapons, you might get lucky, sure, but you also might spend quite a bit of ammo fruitlessly hitting everything but them. I would suggest a solid dose of thermal detonator chucked in their vicinity. The blast radius should be more than capable of disintegrating them. If you don't give a fig for your ammo, give them a smash with your concussion rifle or even a mortar. That should fix their little red wagon. Mouse droids or mouse bots are entirely harmless, but they can get under your feet, which is a bit annoying. It seems needlessly cruel to blow them apart, but if you do, you're gifted with a battery to power your various inventory items, which is nice. You might feel like a bit of a prick, but at least your anti-droid savagery has an upside. I really wish this game had gonk droids, as I find them absolutely adorable, but oh well, I'll just have to wait for Dark Forces 2. Dark Trooper, Phase 1. Here they are, the weakest variant of the toughest enemy, which is to say, they're quite tough indeed. I love how different they look and act when compared to other Star Wars droids. They're equipped with a sharp blade that'll give you a fierce poking and a shield to rebound your projectiles. Serious slaughter flashbacks here. When this T-800 lookalike gives its machine growl in Mission 5 and comes at you, keep your distance. That goes without saying, but I'm saying it anyway. Stay away from that blade and give it as many thermal detonators as you can. Throw, back up, and throw again. I found that's the best way to deal with them, but when you encounter them in very close corridors like in Mission 8, setting mines in their path and keeping your distance is pretty damn useful too. If you're a badass, crouch and blast them with your repeater or even your Stormtrooper rifle. It'll take a while and you need to be careful of the shots ricocheting, but you'll get there in the end. Dark Trooper, Phase 2. The Phase 1s have been hitting the gym. They're no longer skinny sword-swinging soft boys. Now they're equipped with a jetpack and an assault rifle which spews plasma and rockets. When they fire, they're stationary, and this is the perfect time to return fire with either your own assault rifle or with the constant heavy shots of the repeater. Sidle side to side while doing this to avoid their plasma, and if you see a rocket launching, get out of there quick smart. Those things have a seriously nasty blast radius. The one you face in Mission 8 isn't too bad. You've got plenty of walls to hide behind amidst the toxic space porridge. But when facing them in Mission 14, you can quite easily fall down into the drop-down where rockets will make you bruise like a Georgia peach. In this instance, there are still walls to duck behind, but the Phase 2s have the added power of height, as they can zoom above you and attack. Let your assault rifle reply in kind, and hopefully, you'll make it out alive. I love how these guys are like a floating tank and will stop at nothing to melt you. They're the perfect warm-up act for the third and final phase. Dark Trooper, Phase 3. The Big Bad. Cheeky old General Mock in a mechanized suit. And he's another massive pushover. I would have thought that considering a lot of punches are not pulled in this game, that the big boss would have been one evil son of a bitch. But no, he actually seems an easier dude to take down than the Phase 2 guys, at least in my experience. So, he's got an assault rifle and will send streams of plasma at you, but by now you've gotten used to dealing with this threat. Strafe around and wreck him with your own weapon. He looks really cool and very intimidating in his chunky suit, and he'll spit out strings of hovering orbs that will explode and leave you taping your ass cheeks back on if you're not careful. But that's if you get near him, or let him get close to you. You can shoot these orbs out of the air as well, making them explode, which I would highly recommend. Simply ensure that you open the blast doors in the vicinity to give yourself plenty of room. Like all enemies, don't get pushed into a corner. If you're experienced with him, lay down a crap ton of mines and blow him up if you don't feel like using plasma. But plasma is nice and reliable and does a heckin' lot of damage, so you may as well wash him down with your space fire hose. The guide refers to him firing homing missiles, but I think it's talking about his floating spicy balls, as I've never seen him fire anything other than plasma and orbs. I've also watched a number of Let's Plays and not seen him fire anything new there either. So that's the Phase 3. If you've played a lot of FPS games before, I doubt he'll give you trouble. And you're given plenty of hiding spots and band-aids to patch up your boo-boos. I think because I was a kid when I first saw him, I forgot Mok existed, and I assumed I was fighting Darth Vader because he had a deep voice, and I'd seen Vader in cutscenes and assumed I wouldn't be fighting the old fat guy.
I'm glad my opponent is so worthy.
How wrong I was. But also I'm glad that it wasn't Vader. It would have been quite embarrassing if he went down that quick, and also didn't have a lightsaber. I don't know what I was thinking. And that's Dark Forces, folks. If you want to see this game played with incredible guile, warm humor, and awesome added fun facts, check out Lightning Bolt Forever's playlist, link in description. It's so damn good, and I've rewatched it for years and really enjoyed rewatching it for researching this video. Is bloody good stuff, eh? Also, check out the mod websites. There are some incredible treasures you can uncover. I wished for years that I could play Dark Forces on Tatooine, and here we are. Fantastisch. Die, Jawa. Die. A team of 20 talented folks over 20 months cooked up this incredible world. Level designers mapped out rough takes using AutoCAD, a 3D rendering program to block out the maps to fully comprehend how things would feel. And this worked nicely. Due to a number of map designers hailing from architecture school, the amount of work in this game is incredible. I feel any talk of Doom clone can be swept aside. This game offered so much of its own flavor, looking up and down, jumping and crouching, truly immersive room-over-room architecture, inventory stuff, wacky puzzles, so many cool things. But for me, it's the adventure qualities that separate DF from its contemporaries. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a nice fun shooter that is just that. A shooter, nice and simple, uncomplicated, and possessing the depth of a Rob Schneider comedy, but every once in a blue moon I crave depth. I want a nice fleshed out FPS world to slip into, and when that need hits me, I boot up Dark Forces and have an extremely good time. The game met with some criticism due to its short length, and it's true it is a short game, especially coming from expectations set by Doom. But the 14 levels feel so fleshed out and condensed, all killer, no filler, which I can't necessarily say for other 90s shooters. I think this is due to you being an agent, and each level is a mission of extreme importance. There's reason behind each objective, and your struggles are validated by each level's completion. If the game was somehow stretched out to 32 maps like Doom 2, it would lose both its pace and its believability. Despite designer Justin Chin originally having 32 maps drafted out narratively speaking, they kept it small and polished, and I'm so glad they did. Thanks for watching. Go play Dark Forces. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got some unfinished business with an Ewok.